Welcome to Dying to Know, where we open up about everything that comes with losing a loved one.
Because the only thing that sucks worse than death is not being able to talk about it.
We're your bereavement babes, Leah and Rachel, and today we're diving into birthdays. Hi, Rach.
Hi, Leah.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm ready to get into birthdays.
Yes, we're breaking this episode up into two parts. So we want to talk about first the birthdays of our loved ones that we have lost, how we celebrate them or acknowledge them.
And then we'll talk about how we celebrate our birthdays now that we have someone close to us who have lost and passed on.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
So, Leah, I've mentioned to you before that we have our own little tradition now that we've started for my dad.
Yes.
But do you guys have anything that you do?
Actually, we have not. It's been 2 years, and every time my dad's birthday has come around, we have not done anything to celebrate as a unit, and I don't believe we've done anything separate. I didn't consult anyone before this episode, but personally, I haven't done anything to celebrate my dad on his birthday. I have now been taking the day off, but I don't really do anything to celebrate. I think just my personal POV, and I'm not projecting this onto anyone else or judging anyone on how they deal with it. But for me, birthdays are to celebrate the living. It kind of marks another year, another year of life.
Yeah.
And I think because my dad has passed, personally, I just feel like, how can I celebrate it if he's not here to kind of mark this anniversary? So I realized that I have been acknowledging the day of death, the DOD, more than I have been anything about his DOB.
Can I ask why? I guess for me, the DOD, the day of death, feels more sad.
Yeah.
Does the day of death bring up more sadness for you? Or do you be able to turn it into like a more positive day?
Yeah, so I thought about that too. Like, is that morbid? Because I even know,
I feel like everything is how you want it.
Because I remember, Biggie's mom had did a interview at one point, and she was saying, like, a lot of people celebrate, like, his death date, and, like, we need to be celebrating his birthday. And I'm like, oh, I guess I never thought of that. And now that I'm in my own shoes with my own father, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of leaning more into the day of death than the birthday. I think I lean more into DOD is because that was the last moments I had with him. I had the opportunity or privilege to be with my father in his final hours on this side. So to me, that day is not really a celebration. It's more of a remembrance. And that really got me into the definitions of both. Like, I feel like birthdays are more celebratory, and then DODs are more of a remembrance type of thing. So I'm just going to quickly read those definitions just to kind of clarify.
I know, I'm curious.
Yeah, so a celebration is a noun, and it's the act of marking one's pleasure at an important event or occasion by engaging in an enjoyable, typical social activity.
Okay.
Which makes sense. It's celebrating. It's a party. It's a dinner. You're gathering. And then the definition of a remembrance is the actions of remembering something, and then the actions of remembering the dead, especially in a ceremony. So I don't put on a ceremony, but I think the day of death, I kind of listen to music that my dad likes. I have some of his clothing items, so I might put that on and just kind of reminisce, maybe look through pictures. And I think that brings me comfort. It doesn't feel too morbid for me. But I know with you and your family that you guys have started some sort of tradition, correct, about your dad's birthday, and it was just this past weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Recording, it was actually yesterday. And we did do our little tradition.
What is that?
Our tradition is to get food from one of his favorite restaurants.
Oh, nice.
It's Brendan and Carr out in Brooklyn.
What is it called?
Brendan and Carr.
What's the cuisine?
I would say you're definitely it's very carnivorous. If you go get your roast beef sandwich, you get a double dipped, of course.
Ooh.
But it's also a restaurant that brings up so many memories for us. It's somewhere that my dad, when he told us stories about his past, it all involved Brendan and Carr.
Oh, nice.
In our childhood, we would always stop at my grandpa's house, get Brendan and Carr, go to the Mets games. That was always our tradition. And then even as we got older and could drive ourselves, we were always getting Brendan and Carr to either celebrate his birthday or do something special for Dad. That was always one of our special things for him, especially when he wasn't able to travel out to Brooklyn as much. But for us, I will say I felt the same way too on his birthday. My dad, he was sick most of our lives, so on his birthday was always like the biggest celebration where like we were able, like he was healthy enough, we made it to another birthday.
Nice.
Where I know, especially one of my brothers also felt the same, where it was like, why are we celebrating it? Like we didn't get to this accomplishment of keeping him around for another year.
Mm-hmm.
So we felt that way. But then again, another sibling was like, let's just eat some bread and car. Like, let's do this in his, because I was raised by a Leo. Like, he was all about being big and celebratory. And that was his day. He would want his day. Like, 8555 is a number I can, like.
Wait a minute, what's this number?
It's August 5th, 1955. So it was 8550. So I feel like I'm also someone who sees, like, the 805 all the time. Or 855. Like, I feel like being that Leo energy, like I just like we knew that he would want it. So now this has been the third time where we go out, we get our Brennan and car, we sit, and I also feel like it's one of the more easier days to talk about him. I feel like sometimes it doesn't always feel. I'm not good at bringing up my dad. I feel like I don't want to make anyone else feel sad. So I feel like it's a little easier on his birthday to kind of start bringing him up and talking about him. But yeah, and also it was my niece's first time trying the food. So it's like fun to watch her eat. Her like,
how old is she now?
She's 3 now. So I think she might have been like 1.5 when she had her first like sandwich. And we have the video of her eating her cheese fries. So it's like,
cute.
It's been a way to continue his memory for sure, which has made it more of a tradition too. Because I feel like hearing you talk about remembrance.
Yeah.
It almost feels a little bit more remembrance and celebratory. Because it's not like we do the cake or anything like that. But it's a good way to just keep his memory alive, I feel like, for us.
No, it's beautiful. I really love that. In this celebration or remembrance at the restaurant, do you guys invite other people? Is it just the nuclear family or?
Right now, it's just a nuclear family. I think it is kind of still small for us, or we're still trying to figure it out because I still feel like there is that little bit like he's not here. Like, how is it? Like, I feel like it is harder to, I feel like, always talk about it and always like let everyone know what we're feeling. So I feel like we do get our text messages from our loved ones, just like sending their hearts and everything like that and sending their love. Mm-hmm. But it's still like a very small, tight-knit like vibe.
Nice. Do you feel like it helps open up I know you were saying like it fosters a conversation about your father amongst your family. Do you feel like those conversations don't come up naturally, but like on his birthday, you know you're going to hear like a story from your sister that you might not have heard before, or a story your mom would have shared, but like before you all were born, or like how they met or anything you're learning new about him?
Not so much new, but I think it helps bring up memories a lot more naturally. Right. Where like I still am always like nervous, like bring up dad or bring up a story about dad, because I'm like, damn, I don't know if it's gonna make someone feel sad that day. Yeah. So it takes me a little while to like bring him up, where it's like, okay, we're good. Like it's just the fun memory of like overeating and getting as many sandwiches as possible and trying what's new on the menu, and like just the memory of the drive and being stuck in the traffic of like going out to Brooklyn. So I feel like it's just a lot of like, this feels like dad. Like today feels like that, and eating the sandwiches feel like that, or seeing the brown bag of fries like feel like his stories. So I feel like it's just giving us a feeling that we don't have a lot of the time of the year.
Yeah, but shout out to this restaurant. This food sounds good.
I'm telling you, everyone needs to go. It's a good one.
No, if you're in New York, try this.
Yes.
So there's so many ways of like celebrating, also remembering, and sometimes the lines get blurred to what that really looks like. So I looked up this article on this website called Cake, which is about end of life planning. It's a company about that.
Okay, you need it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And the name of the article is 20 plus ways to honor a deceased loved one on their birthday by Sarah Kelsler. So she had listed some different ways that you could do that. It would be visit their grave, write a letter, make a donation. You can volunteer, throw a party, or host a dinner, which I think were really key ways of doing something. Like I know I'd spoke to you prior to recording, and just hearing about like your family and this tradition is inspiring. Like maybe I should bring this out with my own family to see if we could do something different for my dad's birthday. But I feel like in the sense we're all doing our little part separately and maybe not as a unit with doing things with him. So I would love to like take one of these, suggestions and like put it to work on his actual birthday, or maybe even the DOD.
Yeah, I think you can do what feels natural, because until we started discussing this episode topic, I didn't even realize that we had a tradition. It's only been 3 years. So it's like, but it was something that felt natural to us, and like, it's just getting his favorite food. So I feel like you'll know what gives you that feeling of like they're around you.
Exactly. It could be something so small that just kind of remembers you. And I like that it fosters a conversation between you and your family. It's not something I feel more comfortable with the immediate family just picking up and saying like, I miss daddy today, or like making that conversation. But I think it would foster one that feels a little bit more natural amongst all of us.
And it's still giving him his day.
Absolutely. Today's episode is in love and memory of Alfred Maurice Rappaport, who is missed every day. Again, we're your bereavement babes, Leah and Rachel, and we'll see you on the other side.